In this video, you're going to learn how to play on an open-hold flute. So a flute that has holes in the keys. My name is Jane Kavanagh. I'm a flute teacher and I love teaching people how to get faster progress with their flute playing through learning proper technique. Proper technique means making teensy little adjustments to the way that you play to get big improvements and quickly with your playing. For an example, join me here, www.flute.school/free, and I'll show you how to instantly improve your tone. And it's free, which you probably guessed. Firstly, a bit of background on open-hold flutes. An open-hold flute is the same as a normal flute, except it has 5 holes, which you can see here in the keys. Generally speaking, cheaper flutes don't have holes. Generally speaking, more professional flutes tend to have open holes. There's always exceptions, but that's generally the case. Now, there's 2 main reasons why someone would have an open-hold flute versus a normal flute. One is so that they can do extended techniques, so contemporary flute playing techniques, which is bending the pitch like that. I was pulling my fingers off those holes there. It's not used in classical music. It's extended contemporary repertoire that uses that kind of technique. The second reason why someone would have an open-hold flute is that we're told when we buy the flute, or I was told anyway, that it improves the tone quality. Now, I've done a test. It does, but it's so marginal. It does improve the tone quality, but not much. There is a much better way to improve your tone quality, and that's to do the free course that I just mentioned, www.flute.school/free. I'll show you how to improve your tone. Sounded like I was going to threaten you then. I'll show you how to improve your tone instantly. Now, there is another side effect, like a side benefit of having an open hold flute. You know how I said before that you can bend the pitch? Oops. You can actually do this in classical music or in any sort of flute playing where you can't quite get your embouchure under control to keep the intonation, so the pitch, up. So if you hear yourself going flat and you don't yet have enough control over your embouchure, you can just crack one of these holes. I'm going to crack this one here. And a D, for example, that would be going flat when you're going soft and quiet. You can keep the pitch up. It's a bit of a cheat, but it's a pretty handy cheat, like this. And you can keep the pitch up, I should say stop the pitch from going down by just cracking a little hole. And you can do it for other notes as well. Now, the way to play with open holes successfully, like let's just say that you've got a new flute and it's an open hold flute, or you've got a flute that's open hole, but you've got plugs in it. I'll show you the plugs in a second. The only way to play successfully with an open hold flute is to make sure you've got proper hand position. Proper hand position is something that's fairly detailed and I cover it in depth in my Flute Academy. But to get you on the right track now, in a nutshell, make sure your fingers are curved, kind of like holding a tennis ball, and make sure that your right hand thumb is not too far sticking forward like this, because that'll collapse your hands and it's very difficult to cover the holes when you have a collapsed hand. It's also difficult to cover the holes if you have flat fingers like this. It's also difficult if you're using the absolute tips, so somewhere in between a nice curved hand. If you miss the holes, it sounds like this. So I'm going to play a D major scale, which should sound like this. And if you miss the holes, it's going to sound like this. No kidding. That was just me missing the holes. So you might be thinking, yeah, that's cool. I can mostly cover my holes. I'm good. But if you miss one hole slightly in a D major scale, let's choose which hole. I'm going to choose here. Which one should I do? Okay, I'll choose this one. And I'm going to just miss that hole a little bit and everything else will be fine. It's not going to work. The only note that worked was high D. And that was me from only missing one of the holes slightly. So it's really important that you cover all of the holes. The best way to do it, like I said, is to have a proper hand position. Now, the plugs that I mentioned are these. These are made of cork, but you can also get them made out of plastic. 5 plugs can plug up your holes. Now, this is good if you've just got yourself an open hold flute and you don't have your hand position quite good enough yet, you just plug these up. All right, let me fast forward this because you really don't need to watch me plugging up my flute. There we go, plugged up. It's basically the same. It is exactly the same as a closed hole flute now. If you're wondering how to take out the plugs of your open hold flute when you can't actually cover them properly, go and watch my video on YouTube called "Should I Remove All the Plugs in My Flute at Once?" That's the name of the video, and I give you a pretty good tip, I think, in how to actually remove your plugs and stay playing the flute without making too many squeaks. And of course, if you're wondering how to take out the plugs, all you need is a pen or a pencil and you just pop them through to the other side. Which is why, if you look closely at my flute, there's pen marks in the middle of the plugs. That's because I've been popping them through with a pen. I don't actually ever play with plugs. It's more to demonstrate, exactly like in this situation, how to play with plugs. So let's go and pop them out. And then you collect them by tipping your flute up, and there we go, 5 plugs. That is how to play with an open hold flute. If you would like more information on my Flute Academy, come and have a look at www.flute.school/academy. That's a paid program, and I teach you heaps about proper technique on how to accelerate your progress on the flute. If you want to do a little freebie, come along and join me at www.flute.school/free, and I'll show you how to instantly improve your tone by fixing your embouchure. I'll see you in one of those places. See you later.